and we got to start things off with the Signal scandal. Now, maybe you're just hearing about this. Maybe you kind of tuned into it yesterday. Certainly, I think it deserves us to unpack it a bit before we talk about all of the people who are screaming and looking for blood in the water with the Trump administration, because they've had a pretty flawless 2 months in office. So, of course, once there's a little blood, once there's a slip up, well, the left and the mainstream news media, they are going to attack. So over the weekend, the administration has been targeting the Houthis. The Houthis are in Iran. They're an Iran-supported group. They are in Yemen. They block up shipping lanes primarily for Europe, but the United States has decided to go in there and target them to open up free shipping and basically create a better place or a better way for people to navigate through this area of the world. It helps Europe. It helps us to some extent. And a group of our national security experts were on a text message chain through the Signal app. Now, if you don't know what Signal is an encrypted text messaging software that's put on people's phones, and it allows communication highly encrypted so that you can't get hacked. So it's safer than just, say, having a text message exchange on your iPhone. So you've got Pete Hegseth in there, our Secretary of Defense. You have Tulsi Gabbard in there. You've got John Radcliffe, who is on there. You have Vice President J.D. Vance, who are having a conversation about how to message the strike, how to implement these strikes, how to make this work, and how to make people understand it. And quite frankly, they were also complaining a little bit about bailing out Europe, which is what America has had to do time and time and time again. So apparently, unbeknownst to our national security team, there was also a journalist in the mix, a man by the name of Jeffrey Goldberg. Now, that name may sound familiar to you if you follow politics closely. He is a writer for the publication The Atlantic, and he is about as anti-Trump as they come. He has perpetuated many of the lies that were thrown at President Trump during his first presidency, and he really made Trump his target. So he ends up in this group chat and is privy to all of this information. Well, to his credit, he didn't publish any of this information, which would have probably been a threat to national security or could have in some way put our military members at risk. So to his credit, he chose not to run with the story until after the strikes. And then he went with the story. And he said that he knew that the strikes were coming because he was part of this text message chain. Well, cue the people going absolutely crazy on the left saying that this mistake was catastrophic for the administration. Now, I am always going to be honest with you. I am honest, and I will tell you that this was not a great look for the Trump administration. This was an embarrassing move, and it seems that it came out of the National Security Advisor's office, Mike Waltz. Originally today, it was reported that it was actually Mike Waltz himself who inadvertently put this man, Jeffrey Goldberg, on this exchange, on this chain on Signal. But it looks like it was someone in Mike Waltz's office who did it. There's going to be an investigation to make sure that wasn't intentional, I am sure. But at this point, it looks like no heads are going to roll at the Trump administration. But because of this embarrassing situation, the left has decided to really go apoplectic. CNN, MSNBC, they are talking about how inept the Trump administration really is. In fact, they have been saying that Mike Waltz and others should have their positions taken away, that they should be fired. Pete Hegseth, one of those people. Take a listen to CNN talking all about this. This is Cut 25.
I mean, jaws are on the floor across Washington, across the national security space right now, because here you have a reporter who was included in the deliberations over one of the biggest national security events this year, the bombing of the Houthis that started on March 15th. And Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, was privy to the details days ahead of time. What happened is that it appears that Mike Waltz, the national security advisor, added him to a group conversation on Signal, this encrypted app, so presumably these other officials felt like what they were saying was safe. Why he was added, we still don't know. That is the first of a long list of questions, but others on this group chain included the CIA director, the secretaries of defense, of state, the director of national intelligence, and the list goes on. So in the days ahead of this bombing of Yemen, there are these conversations about whether it should happen. J.D. Vance, the vice president, actually pushed back, saying it ran counter to other positions that the president had taken on Europe, but he deferred to the others, and they decided to go ahead with this bombing of the Houthis, which started, this latest campaign started, it's been going on for quite some time, on March 15th. 2 hours before the first bombs dropped, an update was sent by Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, to the others, in which it had stunning detail about, Jeffrey Goldberg reports, the forthcoming strikes, the information about targets, the weapons the U.S. would be deploying, and the attack sequencing. And Goldberg repeatedly says he didn't know if it was real. It could have been a disinformation campaign. It could have been foreign spies who were trying to do this. But sure enough, 2 hours later, the bombs started to fall, and the officials on this group chain started to celebrate what had happened. Marco Rubio says, "Good job, Pete Hegseth and your team." Mike Waltz, a national security advisor, saying that the team down in Mar-a-Lago, where the president was for the weekend, did a great job as well. There has been no pushback in terms of the veracity of this chain from the White House. Brian Hughes, National Security Council spokesman, just told CNN that this appears to be an authentic message chain. We're reviewing how an inadvertent number was added to the chain, meaning Goldberg. He goes on to say that actually what Goldberg witnessed there was
All right, so CNN going crazy. You're going to hear Mayor Pete was going a little bit nutty, but let's hear first from President Trump, who just about 2 hours ago addressed this at the White House, and I think really perfectly on point with what happened here. Cut 35.
That's an app that a lot of people use, and somebody got on. I mean, I happen to know the guy's a total sleazebag. The Atlantic is a failed magazine. Does very, very poorly. Nobody gives a damn about it. This gives it a little bit of a shot. And I will tell you this: that they've made up more stories. And they're just a failing magazine. The public understands that. He's a very good man. That man is a very good man right there that you criticize so strongly. He's a very good man, and he will continue to do a good job. In addition to him, we had very good people in that meeting, and those people have done a very, very effective job, and you're going to see it. And it goes on, by the way. It's going to go on. And I think the Houthis wish that it didn't happen, but that's what it's all about. We have to create a safe country, a safe world, and that's what we're doing.
That is President Trump, who had Mike Waltz in the room with him. And Mike Waltz saying that it was an embarrassing situation. Of course, it was a mistake, but that they have learned from this and that they're going to move on. It doesn't seem that there are going to be any heads rolling at the White House, but that doesn't stop the mainstream news media from doing a couple of things. One, looking like the Trump administration is inept. And granted, this was embarrassing, but it wasn't the worst mistake that was made by our country, and we'll go through that in just a few moments. They also take issue with the fact that the Trump administration was using the Signal app to communicate, even though that was used all the way through the Biden administration. And once again, you see this with Elon Musk all the time. They are trying to create tears within the team that is surrounding President Trump. I don't think that's going to work this time. This team that is around the president seem to be united in America First policy.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.